Hi all. Today I will like to share my opinion on the opening principles and why are they more important than the opening variations themselves. One of my students, he's a beginner, around 1000 rated. So he keeps asking me like, sir, what's the best variation against e4? Can I play c6? Can I play direct d5? Can I play the e5 variations? So I asked him like, do you know the opening principles well enough before knowing the opening variations? So he actually gave me this answer like, sir, I know two, three principles. So he said, sir, develop your pieces, don't move your pieces twice, and like don't move your pawns unnecessarily, play towards the center. So, but I asked him, when you know these principles, why you are not applying it during the game? So he laughed and said nothing. So actually, from this game, I would like to show you like why the opening principles are more important than the opening variations. At least like we can say below 1600 online rapid or even 1800 online rapid or something. So let's move on to the game. White played d4, and one other thing here in this game we will notice white will actually follow all the opening principles, and black will actually kept on uh, he will not follow he will not follow the opening principles much. So we will see how white will play simple moves yet have a strong initiative from the opening itself via following the opening principles. We will see d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop c4, bishop f4, and it's called the London system. e6, e3, bishop e7. Bishop d6 was also a move, direct. We play bishop d3, developing a piece. c5, okay, a good move. c3, we are anticipating c4 in sometimes, maybe. Knight c6, good, another developing move. Knight bd2, another developing move. C takes d, e takes d. And now our opponent actually played this knight h5 move. Though it's a good move and it's recommended by many grandmasters, and the original move is bishop e3, which white played here. Now g6 was forced, like white was threatening g4 in some cases. Now white again simply castled, and if you will see, white is actually following all the opening principles here. He has developed his pieces, he has castled his king, and black is also developing his pieces, but at the same time he has violated one of the principles in the opening, which is the moving the same piece twice. Though it's looked a minimum mistake, but it can cost him the game in the later part of the as we progress through the game. So h6, I guess it's an accuracy. And I asked my student like, why h6 is a bad move? So he said, so it might not be a bad move. Like we can actually attack and start our attack. But how can we attack? I asked him like, how can I attack with just one piece? So he laughed and said nothing. Uh, White just followed queen c2. Like he just actually now he's threatening bishop g6. So opponent played f5. Again a pawn move. If you will see, h6, g6, and f5 are the pawn moves. He's not developing his pieces. He could have considered b6 or bishop b7. He could have castled earlier, but he's actually violating the opening principles badly. And soon he has to pay the price for it. So rook f e1, another good move from the white side. Like he's actually playing his rook towards the center and lining it against the king. King f7, another like it's another unnatural move. King f7. He could have actually played the castle or something, but he's actually violating the opening principles. Now white played for the initiative, b4. Now white knows actually I'm ahead of development, so I should actually open the position somehow. So he's actually targeting this with b5, and so he could check it with knight e5 check. So he stops this knight e5 idea with bishop f6, but still white played this b5. Dislocating is this knight. So knight e7. And white found a good way of dealing with this knight e5 check. Because what will happen after bishop e5, pawn e5? This square is available for our knight. And at the same time, our bishop has new scope here in this diagonal. Opponent played f4. We just played bishop c5. Now we are threatening to take this, and play bishop g6 check. Apart from this, now we have reached in the middle game. But if you will see closely, actually white is actually ahead in development, not in development. I guess he has the initiative and might be a winning advantage here because of the opening principles itself. White has followed almost all the opening principles, while black is actually violating it from the opening itself. This rook is not into the play. This bishop has no scope, and this knight is actually at the rim, and we know that a knight at a rim is a dim. So now we will fast forward this game very quickly, as our main topic was the opening principles. Black played knight f5, protecting g6 somehow. Knight f3 again. White is actually following his idea of this knight d4 idea. Rook g1, g8, rook a d1. Actually bringing all the pieces into the party, and it's a known metaphor in chess, I guess first used by Morphy. b6. Now white played a trappy move, like he played bishop d6, though it looks like knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes, but it has a hidden motive in it, and black fell for it. Knight d6, pawn d6, queen d6. Now guys, I guess you could pause the video and can find a good move for white. White plays this thunderous move, bishop g6 check, and the idea is, if black will take, we could have just played this knight e5 check, king g7, queen takes check, king, knight f7, and it's a mate. So you see, just the tactics comes from a like superior position, as Fischer used to say. After queen d6, bishop g6 check, he just plays king f8, black just played king f8, and now a simple move, bishop h5, and white is just a piece of two more moves came, rook g7, and white just played a good move, queen f5 check, pawn takes, and it's a mate. Dang. And if you will see, white just won because he just follows the opening principles. He doesn't calculate the main, like you will see, he's not calculating 10 lines in the opening, or not. He's actually following all the main, like, known variation in the opening. He's just following the opening principle right from the start itself. If we will see from the opening itself, fast we will look from itself. Take takes, knight h5. The first mistake, I will not say the mistake, but it's a known line in the London system. G6, G6, castle. H6 was his first mistake, like he's violating the opening principle. Queen C2, again F5. Unnecessary pushing the pawns. We should not push the pawns in the opening. So we should actually remember not to violate the opening principle this way, or we can actually end up like black in our own games also. And white actually followed all the opening principles. He just locating his rook in the center in the open, half open file. And we will look forward through quickly and how white actually won pretty convincingly without much efforts. Bishop d6, and it's all over. After this, king f8, bishop takes, rook g7, and this a beautiful finish with queen f5 and pawn ef5, and it's a mate. So that's all for today. Like, we should actually follow all the opening principle in our game, at least try to follow. And we know that we don't follow it much, but still try to remember it. That's all. Thank you.